What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to this hair retouching series. So in the previous video, we are looking at crosshair removal, and I showed you ways and means to get rid of such crosshairs. So previously, I played an action and it gave me these two layers, and I even showed you guys how to do that and the reason for the crosshairs in the check layer there. So this is what I did so far. These ones I know are in there, but if I should turn off the check layer, I'm not sure you can see them. So but the visible ones are the ones I took out, and when I turn off my crosshairs, turn them back on and turn them off back on, you realize what we've done so far. So this is the before and after, before and after. When I hold Alt or Option on the keyboard and I press on the bright hairs, you see what's happening in there. And when I tap on the dark hairs, you see what's happening in there too. So yeah, so in this video we're looking at liquefying and patching. So looking at this side of the hair, I think I would want to patch some side, or should I say grafting? Yeah, so it's more grafting, more patching and grafting. Let's put it that way. So okay, I can use clone stamp for patching. Okay, so yeah, so grafting, I would want to graft some parts of the hair to cover this side here and maybe liquefy some 2 or 3 parts, then we'll be good to go. So before I do that, I want to delete my check layer because I wouldn't be using that anymore. Then create a stamped layer, which is holding Alt and Control Shift E on the keyboard to create such layer, right? And from here, I'll pick up my lasso tool with a feather of 0. Always have that there. If you're hair retouching, use a feather of 0. Then I'll come to the side which I want to stamp. Let's say I would want to stamp this side, right? So I make a selection of that side, right? And I'll hold Q on the keyboard, and you realize how sharp the edges of the selection is, right? So I would want to blur the edges to make it transition very smoothly. So with that, I'll go to my filter, blur, and Gaussian blur, and I'm looking at, let's say, a Gaussian blur of 4.5. Yeah, I think that's very good for me because I'd want some parts of the selection to be in there, not faded out too much. After this, I'll hold Q on the keyboard to come back. Then I'll hold Command or Control J on the keyboard to duplicate that selection. And when I hold Alt and make only visible that selection, you get to see what's there, right? Oh, sorry, that's not the selection we are looking at. So after this, after doing the Q thing and blurring the edges, I'll move because I just made this selection so that I can move it away and go pick up the sampled part I want. So let's say this side is what I want, and I hold Ctrl J or Command J on the keyboard to duplicate that, and I hold Ctrl or Command T to bring that selection into play. Then I move it, right? I can choose to expand it and maybe warp it up a little bit for it to fall in place. So this is what we term by grafting. And yes, you would realize there are some repetition of patterns. We will fix that very soon. So if I should zoom out, you can see how it looks. So this is the before and that's the after. This is the before and after. If I should turn it off and look at the transition from here to there, you realize it's kind of darkened, right? So I'll turn it back on, mask it, then I'll pick my brush tool with a flow of, let's say, 10, a very soft brush. So I think 15 will be cool for me. Paint black. Let's turn it back off. I want to paint it out of some places I don't want. So let's say this side, I don't want it here, I don't want it here too, and definitely not the top side. Oh, let's paint it back in. I think they're showing some parts here. So the best thing to do for this dark side is to clip a curves adjustment to it. So I'll just clip a curves adjustment and I'll reduce, or I'll darken it down. Let's darken it more, add a bit more. Yeah, so now let's see what we've done so far. This is the before and after. I would want to paint back some brightness in there, so the same flow of 10, I'll paint black on this white max. Then let's see, before and after, before and after. Exactly. So if what we have adjusted the luminosity over there. So this is the before and the after, the before and the after. I can delete this because I don't need it anymore. I don't think we're going to need any grafting in there. Oh, I think we'll need it, so let's just bring it back. Let's undo what we deleted. So yeah, basically this is all there is to the grafting, and I think I would want to say patch this side too. So L, sample the side I want. Okay, I think I'll just sample in here this way. Hold Q, apply the Gaussian blur, hold Q again, then Control or Command J on the keyboard, Control Command T to make the selection visible, and I'll just move it here, expand it, or I'll just flip it horizontally so that it aligns with the movement of the hair. Let me warp it up a little bit. I'm not sure you see it, but I can see what I am doing. So yeah, then mask it up, use my brush to, then let's see, turn it on and off and paint it off some areas. I can even choose to reduce opacity because it's just filling in for me. So this is more like a fill in here where I don't want to do so much of a hectic job over here. So like I said in the previous tutorials, this hair is kind of messy, not aligned like how this will be looking at the end, right? So let's just keep it messy but very neat. So I think that's about it. That's literally what I'll do with the patching. I think the repetition of patterns here, I just create a new layer, then I'll pick up my clone stamp to make sure my blending mode is on lighten, right? Reduce the hardness, then I'll sample here, then I use to patch, sample and patch, sample and patch, sample, not too much, sample and patch to take away that repetition of pattern over there. So zooming out, this is the before and after. I want to reduce opacity a little bit. So in about there, I think I'm good to go. So now I can delete this because I don't really need it anymore. Let's just group these. So this is crosshair removal, this is outside removal, crosshair, and grafting. So let's label this grafting. Now I would want to liquefy some parts of the hair, so I'll just create a new visible layer by holding Command Option and Shift E, or Command Control Alt Shift E, which is for Windows, and we'll just create this. And now let's move to the liquefy adjustment. You can find that by going to Filter and Liquefy. So now we are here. I would want to zoom out and see what I'll be working with. So I think I would want to push out and make sure with the liquefy, you don't, make sure the pressure is somewhere around 10 or 15. So I think 13 is good for me. And I can't stress this enough. Kindly get yourself a Wacom tablet because it's pressure sensitive and you'll be able to work with it very easily. So little strokes, then I just move the hair, make it more even for me. So I think I'll move this back in a little bit. This side is looking very soft. This side of the hair is looking very soft. I think I'll draw in some hair strands, then it'll be good to go. And maybe push this up a little bit. Oof, you're messing up the alignment over here. So let's see before and after. I think I would have to undo what I did there. Let's fix this. Push this in. That. Push this out a little bit. Make it very subtle. Zoom out and let's see preview of what we've done so far. So very subtle changes. You're not trying to make it look all perfect. So very subtle changes. Let's see the before and after. Before and after. I want to push this in a little bit more. Push this out. Maybe this out too. Bring it down a little bit because it looks too weird for me. I think this side you will need to patch it, but the whole idea of that space over there makes it look, adds another feel to it. So now let's see what we've done so far. This is the liquify. Let's label this liquify. So looking at what we've done so far, that's with the grafting. So with the grafting, we patched some side where the work was tedious. So definitely this is what I will do if I have a tedious job to do. I'll just graft or patch some side and I'll clear the repetition of pattern with the clone stamp tool healing, like this. Sorry. So let's turn things back on. And like I said, I would want to draw in some hair strands. I think I'll do that in the next video where I'll talk about drawing in some natural hair strands and maybe fixing the frontal part of the hair. And yeah, then we'll move to dodge and bend, which will be the very last thing. Then we'll see how we can go about it. So definitely what I did in today's tutorial, I also did same for here, which is liquify, blemish removal, then the patching and all that, grafting. So especially this side. So if I should turn this off, you realize there was so much of a work here I really wanted to escape. So I just patched this side and sent it over here, adjusted some lightness and some another lightness issue, so it's more of luminosity. And yeah, so if I should close this up and show you the before and after, that's all what the patching did in there for me. So next thing in our tutorial will be about removing frontal hair, which will be this, and making the hair look as natural as possible. Well, it's good to leave these baby hairs over there, but it depends on the clients if the client wants it there or not. Or sometimes so the frontal hair looks very messy, and looking at how to fix it is quite a tedious work. So with this, I think, yeah, I will just have to hide this either with grafting or with clone stamping. So I think I'll see you in the next tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel as always. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.